Uh, Another threat actor is nation states. These nation states have developed expertise, and they use cyber weapons to achieve both military and commercial goals. If a nation state or a group of attackers are so eager to um, attack a system, and their actions are ongoing, and they are really eager, and they really wanted to compromise network security using a variety of tools and techniques. That is how we define an advanced persistent threat. So when the penetrator of an attack is a member of, or ex-member, or affiliated with the organization's own staff, this is how we call that is an insider threat. To mitigate these kinds of threats, best is to implement operation and management controls such as auditing. There are also other means to protect our organization from insider threats, just like job rotation and list privileges, implementing list privileges. We will discuss these different means in one of the chapters. Okay. There were other studies who said that the number of insider threats is higher as compared to external threats in a given organization. So that's why these types of threat actors, setting protection from these kinds of threat actors is very important. There's this what we call as open source intelligence. No? There's this what we call as reconnaissance. When we say reconnaissance, these are information gathering. And there are two types of reconnaissance, passive and active. So if an attacker wants to stalk his or her victims to discover information about them, and the way it does is through Google search or go to a social media, say Facebook, in order to obtain certain information. That's passive reconnaissance. If an attacker uses a sophisticated tool to gather information, that's the active reconnaissance. Okay, you know what? There are websites that provides open source that provides information which may be helpful for an attacker or a hacker or intruder. We call it as open source intelligence. As we go along, uh, I will show you some of these websites that attackers use, and they are again classified as open source intelligence. There is a more detailed discussion on open source intelligence in penetration testing. And then we have this deep web. The deep web is part of the World Wide Web, not indexed by a search engine. These include pages that require registration, pages that block search engine indexing, unlinked pages, and content encoded in a non-standard manner. The deep web can be accessed through darknet. So in order for your computer to access the darknet, you need a Tor. We call it as the onion router. It's a special type of a browser actually, the Tor. And the Freenet, a software, an I2P, a peer-to-peer platform software, which acts to anonymize usage and prevent a third party from knowing about the existence of the network. Okay, so in the deep web, there are sites, contents, and services, softwares. Uh, again, which can be accessible over the dark net. We call that as dark web. Okay. Again, you know what? When we search in for Google, diba? Google is a search engine. We can search lots of information in Google. You know what? What Google can only found in the World Wide Web in terms of information is only just 5%. Okay? 95% of informations that the internet has are to be found in the uh, deep web. Okay? Because there are certain informations, websites that do not use HTML. It's non-standard, right? That's what we mean by non-standard manner, or not properly indexed, and it is intentional. So these are examples of the deep web. So Cyber attacks, they are less effective if they are well known. Okay, imagine if attacks are being published or there's a website where you can see these different types of attacks, and it has suggestion on how you can protect your system from these types of attacks. So this somehow helps. It is of help for attackers not use these tools or not conduct these types of attacks, because uh, if they notice that most companies has protection from these types of attacks, then definitely what happens is that kind of attack is being degraded. So point here is that there are websites. These are the ones listed in these slides, um, that provides information about attacks. Some of these websites even provides information on how to mitigate and mitigate the attack and protect your system from these different types of attacks. As we go along, we will cover informations found in these websites. Also very important for a security analyst or someone who is into security, for a security professional to be updated, and you should be monitoring these websites and news groups. So, um,
This lesson introduced some of the basic terminology used to describe cybersecurity threats. In this lesson, should be able to distinguish threat actor types and motivations, be able to be aware of what makes social engineering and phishing attacks successful, should be able to understand the uses of different kinds of malware and how infections can be identified.
this ends my discussion for part 2. I hope to see you on the last video for module 1. Thank you.